Hello, welcome to the Sangat Astrology. Today, we have a special subject with a special guest. We will talk about the configuration of the kite in astrology with Celeste Brooks. And here she is. She is an OPA certified astrologer, life coach, and intuitive, and she offers readings, classes, workshops, and coaching, and specializes in chart rectification for unknown birth times. Celeste hosts the Celestial Insights. It's a podcast, and is known for her engaging Instagram lives. A board member of the Organization of Professional Astrology and faculty at Kepler College. She lectures internationally and brings more than 25 years of corporate leadership experience to her work. And you can learn more at astrologybyceleste.com. And here you have my contact information. And now I will do a short introduction of the kite configuration. It is a very rare configuration in astrology, and is more rare right now because it is based on a small trine formed by the three slowest planets, outer planets, which is very, very rare. It hasn't happened for thousands of years. And we have Uranus sextile Neptune, and also Saturn during this year. And then we have Neptune sextile Pluto and Uranus trine Pluto. And what happens is that every time there is a planet or the moon every month, opposing Neptune and Saturn, we have a kite configuration. And since there has been very little literature about this configuration, we are exploring with other astrologers to see what we can learn about it. And so here is Celeste with you, and she's going to share what she knows or what she intuits about it. So I'll stop share. Welcome, Celeste.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Celsa. I'm so happy to be here.
You're very welcome.
And would you just like me to start talking about the kite in general, or?
Whatever you bring to the table.
Okay, great. Well, I thought I would talk about what is the kite in general. What is a kite formation before we jump into the specific one in the that's in the sky. And you already brought some information about it. It's a grand trine. So when you have a grand trine, you have planets in each of the same element. So a grand trine will either be a fire, earth, air, or water grand trine. And what trines do is they facilitate. So there can be this like ease and flow between three or more planets, but they're all in the same element. And then what you have, what makes the grand, and what you can happen is you can get stuck. You can just get stuck in that circular motion. And with what you have with the kite is you have an opposition where there's a planet that's in a complementary element. So fire and earth go together, air and water go together. That's opposite one of the points on the grand trine. And what the opposition does is it gives some tension that can help you pull out of the loop that sometimes you can get in with the grand trine, and then have those sextiles as well, which with sextiles, if you lean in with effort, they will bring you opportunities. And what a kite does is the combined energy can get some lift and can take off, can have direction and purpose, just like a real kite rising in the wind, like what you have behind you. Yeah. So let's just go through the different elements and what we may see. So when you have a water grand trine, you can have emotional whirlpools. And right now, as we're recording this, we have a grand trine and water in the sky, where we're going to have a new moon where the new moon of November 2025 in the sign of Scorpio is going to be a really important one, where the sun is in Scorpio, the Jupiter is in Cancer, or Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces. This is an emotional whirlpool that we're going to see shocking and surprising events, because Uranus helps make that formation. These can be psychic, where people just get intuition. There can be emotional, but there can be overwhelm with that grand trine. And the water tail, I'm calling this kite the sacred gardener, where this gives manifestation power. You can bring, oh wait, I'm reading the wrong one. Sorry, Celsa, Mercury is retrograde. This is more of like the grounded mystic with that energy, where the water gives emotional depth, sensitivity, psychic intelligence. Now there's healing capacity with this. Now people can also get absolutely apoplectic and furious and act out. So we will likely be seeing protests and eruptions of things happening. Now it can swirl endlessly, but the earth tail brings some containment and structure, and it can pull the water out of the depths. So this can bring about meaningful change, with Uranus, the change maker, being the tail of this kite. So there may be stories that will really focus in on this energy. I'll stop there before I keep going on. Did you want to make any comments about that?
Yeah, I was watching this chart for the new moon in Scorpio, and it's really um, uh, it's gonna be really strong. And we have already building up emotional to that, because if you follow the news, you know what I'm talking about. And things are in crescendo emotionally. They're very, very volatile, even though it is water, but it's very intense water. And I've been following these formations, because they actually started in 2024, when those slow planets were in Earth and water, right? But this year, since the month of July, they have been constantly one after the other. And what I have noticed is that the opposition, these the planets that actually form the kite when they transit the opposite sign, are kind of triggers, and it liberates the energy that has been stuck in the grand trine. So that's why we have seen events, even catastrophic events. For example, July 28, 29, the moon was there, and there was, for example, a bus accident in India, killing 18 people, and crashes, in airplane crashes, an explosion in Nebraska, and drone strikes. Well, they have been happening, but what I noticed, and when Mars went there, there was really very bad. Okay, I'll let you go on to your next.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with Earth trines, and right now we won't see this as often, but Earth trines can be powerful manifestors, but people can get stuck in the grind. And when you have the water that's helping pull you out of that. Oh, sorry, my notes are all. I have all these notes. Okay. The water tail can add creativity. So you can get stuck in the earthy element, but the water adds creativity, compassion. It can soften, it prevents stagnation, and then help take action.
That was
With
last year,
mm-hmm,
right? With Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, and then Neptune and Saturn was in Pisces. Hmm.
mm-hmm. Yes. Now a fire grand trine, and we may be seeing this. We'll be seeing this next year once Jupiter and the
Hmm.
nodes switch into the south node in Leo, Jupiter in Leo. That is going to bring a lot of fire in, which is dynamic. Now, fire in a grand trine can scorch and just get really like an inferno where passion gets out of control a little bit. And then
Well, I see that the kite per se is very dynamic or unstable. There is this instability that anything can happen, right?
mhm. Yeah, you can have enthusiasm, charisma, creative spark. We will be seeing crusaders arising that are really trying to lead people into battles based on philosophy next year. Now, the air tail, when there's an air tail to a fire kite, you can get the air adds context. It can be a feedback loop to help the fire think and not just act. So this can be very passionate, aligned action where people have the words to put to motion what they want to create. And lastly, we have the air grand trine and the fire tail. And this is what we've been dealing with in 2025, and we will be seeing a lot of in 2026. The air signs speak to humanity. They're the humane signs. They speak to how people interact, relate, think, communicate. And when you have air in a trine, you can get like stuck in circles a little bit. But the fire can pull you out, give you that passion, and give you a lift and take flight. And yeah, we've been seeing this. Like one of them where I called it transistor radio, where Mercury came into Libra and it was trine the Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, and Jimmy Kimmel was he was suspended for mentioning Charlie Kirk in a way people didn't like. And the reason people got so mad about it was not because it came from ABC, it came from the administration where the leader of the FCC and the government was trying to silence someone's free speech, which people went apoplectic. They started a boycott. They were taking Disney down to the ground. People were canceling their services. They were canceling Disney cruises. They were not having any of it. They lost a lot of money, and so people got together for fairness and speech. Mercury and well, Jimmy Kimmel is Mercury in Libra. He's a comedian or who has a late night talk show. Uranus in Gemini. A revolutionary started boycotting things, talking about it, making changes. Pluto and Aquarius, the group got together, exerted their power, took millions of people, pulled a big corporation down a peg. Last year, I got this intuitive hit about a Disney massacre, and that was the Disney massacre. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good illustration of what a kite is, what the effect of the kite is. And also, what I have seen is that opposition is in the relational axis, Aries and Libra. Aries, the selfish, the me first and me always, and then Libra trying to balance things. So, and what we have seen is the even countries trying to come to peace, conversations, and such. Not very successful, but there was a factor. And if we consider that Pluto is in Aquarius is out of bounds right now, as you said, we can see the people rising and having their voices heard entwined with Gemini. So I think, in fact, when the kite forms, is like a way to liberate that energy, the need to relate and to solve relational problems.
Absolutely. Solve relational problems and in innovative, creative ways that like can bring forth longer term changes. They need to be scared of the people, not the people scared of them, is what we're moving towards in the world. Hmm.
I heard a couple of more than a couple of astrologers. For example, I spoke with Lada Luncheva, and she has a kite in her natal chart. So
Ah,
she says that is very lucky and is it's a very good and positive configuration. So, however, what I have seen in her life, there is a lot of movement, a lot of change. But however, we had a video with Lynn Coiner, who has done firsthand research on the kite. And she says that, of course, not all the catastrophes have a kite, but when there is a certain kite, there is a catastrophe. So,
mm.
like plane crashes, and the video is on my channel for whomever would like to take a look at it. And she spends a whole hour with examples, right? So, have you seen clients that have a kite in their birth chart, and what is your experience?
Yeah, if you have a kite in your birth chart, I think of it more as a gift that yeah, you can really when you work with it intentionally and lean in, people often have a talent that they excel at. If they just have the grand trine, sometimes they can get stuck in the loops. But yeah, people tend to recognize the energy of the grand trine, and when you put to words to how they can lift it up and have it take flight, it can be helpful for them to understand that. But you don't see it very often. I mean, not a lot of people have them, but
It's
we
not
all
common.
have, the planets keep moving. And sometimes you may have parts of it that are put in motion when there's something going through the sky that forms a grand trine with your own chart. And these can be things that you can be aware of, and times where you may really find yourself being able to get into action, be focused and directive. Like I said, the grand trine can kind of just swirl, but when you have that tail that can lift you up and get you going in a certain way, that can be helpful for manifesting Earth. being inspired or inspiring fire and getting that inner workings going, communicating effectively air, or emotionally connecting into what is going on within you and how you want to take your next steps with a water trine with a earth tail.
So, what advice would you give to your client, for example? Suppose that they have this air kite. How would you say they can use the energy
Well,
precisely?
hopefully they do something in their career which is related to communication, and they can use it, that fire part of it, to be inspirational, inspired. Like if it's a Leo tail, like leadership energy. If it's a Sagittarius tail, maybe they're a great teacher that can really help people understand things. If it's an Aries tail, maybe they're a coach who can direct the team to get going, to win the game, to challenge the competition. Yeah, it depends. It depends on what their goals are, would be how I would, like if you're directing or someone comes to you for a reading and they're a young person trying to decide what to study or careers, you can help them understand that having a component, like you just sitting looking at a computer all day by yourself, never interacting, not doing anything that puts words to things, may not be very you may be not using your talents in the best way. So yeah, it would depend on what they want, what they're doing, and what just letting them know. Because with trying, sometimes you don't even realize that this is a talent you have that not everybody has. And when you help people understand that it's a gift, then they can lean more intentionally into it, activate it, and use it.
In the case, for example, of this water grand trine, if people have a planet, a natal planet in the Earth signs, right, like Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, they can, for example, focus on materializing something,
Absolutely.
working in the garden, for example, for Taurus, or working with health matters, or the schedule, or the diet, or organizing with the Capricorn, organizing, so that way they can get out of the rut of the water grand trine, right?
Hmm. Really a great caretaker. That could be someone who can really grow things, an amazing chef. These are some ideas that are coming to me. A wonderful uh, getting preschool teacher would be really good with that energy. A healer, an amazing healer, laying hands on people, maybe even a medical intuitive could be someone, depending on what the planets are, who could have that with that energy. A massage therapist.
The water and the earth is very fertile, right? And it can help materialize and give form and give shape to whatever they intend to create. So
Absolutely.
it is
Ultimate,
great.
that could be a manifesting machine.
Um,
A business owner, if there's strong Cancer energy, real creating a fertile business that just grows and grows and grows.
yeah, yeah, very, very creative. So what else would you like to discuss about these?
I can show a couple of kites that I have.
Okay.
Well, this is what, okay. So I'm calling, we have this chart pattern for most of the rest of the decade, especially after April. Uranus will be back in Gemini, April 2026. Uranus will be back in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, and Neptune in Aries. And this is a mini grand trine, this little wedge formation. It's also a cosmic wedge. And I feel like everyone is having their own road to Damascus experience, where Uranus, when it went into Gemini in July of 2025, it entered the state, and everyone got some kind of wake-up call, or it started. You may not realize what it is yet, but it's waking you up to something that's shattering preconceived notions. Uranus brings in reversals. Gemini, and how you things about how the mind works, how you're thinking. And Uranus, like it's big, it's sudden, and it's a great awakener. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, we've been dealing with this for the last couple of years, since 2023, where there are massive changes going on in the collective, where things are being exposed about how power dynamics work amongst people, what people really think about each other in terms of groups, some fixed opinions. And so once concepts of societal power dynamics is transformed, there's some big wake-up calls coming in the United States with some of the Indian American community who were folk or on the right wing, kind of Vivek Ramaswamy and this Kash Patel. And we're recognizing now that MAGA's in power, they're ready to say, see you later, alligator, to these people of color. So they're like, minds are being blown, thinking that, oh, they could be part of this group. Well, no, you can't. They only are about skin folk being kinfolk. So that's a problem. And then deception is washed away from the eyes. Aries rules the eyes. Neptune deceives, but it's like when Neptune moved from Pisces to Aries, it was like the pixie dust that had been sprinkled on people about, hey, yeah, you can be part of our group, even though you're not the same color. It's like that's on fire, it's gone. So people are getting wake-up calls. And for everyone, it's different. It's not necessarily that. There was also when the Jeffrey Epstein stuff happened, where they found out that the administration said, no, there was nothing there. He committed suicide, no files, no blah, blah, blah. People were like, oh my God, their minds were blown. No, we can't believe this. So think about in your own life, what have you become aware of about societal power dynamics, about how you think, about your belief systems that has changed this year since Uranus went into Gemini? What have you become awakened to? What's your road to Damascus journey? And that was when Saul, who was a Pharisee, went to Damascus. He had a spiritual awakening where he was blinded for 3 days and became a disciple of Jesus and changed his name to Paul.
Certainly is the harbinger of revolution, social revolution, because we have this social and relational and human experience, right? If you think about the mass killings, not only where we know in the Middle East, but also in Africa and other places. And so when I first saw Pluto coming into Aquarius, I said, there's going to be a lot of mass death. And lo and behold, that's what we are seeing. I think that these social signs activated in this way will bring, as you said, very powerful intellectual transformations, mental shifts, and of course, ideologies will be born. So we are leaving behind the obsolete ideologies like capitalism, communism, whatever ism there has been is no more. It won't be no more. And something new will be born from this, because this configuration and the kites will go through um, almost exact several times until 2028. I saw July next year, August, September, and December. There are several of them when these planets are at 4 degrees and 3 degrees. And then 2027 as well, they go up to 6 degrees. So anything in Libra, in the first few degrees of Libra, will trigger the kite. And 2028 is, I think, the most intense. Uh, and it's in May, April, May, October, some dates that I found. So yeah, society will completely be transformed.
And the USA South node is at six Aquarius in the third house. So when Pluto hits that South node, wow, it's going to be a big, big, big changes in the US. Yeah. It's
Yeah, you had
I'm
some
holding
more.
the hope. I'm holding the high road hope that this is, an extinction event for people who want to go back to the olden days. But we'll see.
Well, we are what Pluto is going back to is to the degrees where it was during the Independence War, right?
The war for independence.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is what we are revisiting as a country.
Yeah, and the MAGA group is very unhappy with what the president is doing right now, and they're getting their eyes opened in order to see to see things that they were misled about in terms of just the other day the president was with Mercury retrograde said that the United States doesn't have talented workers enough, that we need to bring in people from other countries. The H-1B visas is a big story with that group. They're very angry about it. So I don't know. We may see some battling between former factions of MAGA against each other. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But the United States is just a powder keg of volatility where people are armed to the teeth. It's really concerning to see what's going to come of it and see what happens next. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So I called this the steel magnolia, where Venus in Libra went through this and formed a grand trine with an air. Was grounded by Neptune in Aries, and there were a few women in the news that came to prominence around, being willing to stand up to fight oppression and to get things done. But people coming together in order to demand justice may be something we're seeing next year and in years coming, where when Venus is going through her home sign of Libra, wanting fairness, justice, collaborating, negotiating, mediating, being diplomatic, but with a chainmail armor suit on in order ready to take it to the battle. Inspired leadership with Neptune and Aries. Mm-hmm.
And what is interesting is that this year all the kites were formed at 1 degree, 0 degrees of the signs, which means a new beginning, right?
Absolutely. New beginnings, new starts. I call this the past is present kite, where the sun went through that that point where there was like mythologizing because some of the planets were retrograde at this time, mythologizing the past, and things were repeating in the present as well in terms of trying to bring back some previous things. Oh, I should have had my notes with exactly what I wrote down about that. But yeah. So just notice next year if when the sun goes through this, if we see ideas from the past being acted like they were mythologized with that Neptune and Aries and trying to drag them back into the present moment could be something that is coming up around this time because the sun is actually in the sign of its fall in Libra, so it's not as strong. So yeah, just notice that. But there'll be a spotlight. There can be leaders kind of forced out around this energy. Mm-hmm. I already talked about transistor radio. That was a great example with Jimmy Kimmel. So those were the three. There was also when Mars was in Libra, Saturn was in Aries right here. And so Mars opposite Saturn, that was really interesting. I called that two elegant gunslingers walk into a bar because Mars and they were in signs that each one wanted, but they were in signs of their detriment because Mars is in detriment in Libra, Saturn in fall in Aries, but Mars wants Aries, Saturn wants Libra because that's where it's exalted. And there was this energy. And what happened in the US, there was in order to fight against redistricting for voting, where the legislators are trying to cherry pick in Texas who they wanted. A group of Texas legislators left the state to avoid a vote, but then they had to come back. And so it was like this battle for justice. And it was really interesting to watch that show up. And on the one of the events that happened was the once they came back, they were like kind of held hostage and told they each had to have a handler. And there was one woman who refused to sign the paperwork and spent the night in the chambers by herself. They had her locked in. She was like a prisoner. This fighter for justice, Mars and Libra, opposite Saturn and Aries. They're locking this legislature in because they don't want to risk Uranus and Gemini a protest and disappearing, so that they can Pluto and Aquarius demand the maps changing, to being drawn differently. So yeah, there was that.
With the Mercury, what I noted here is that in Afghanistan, they cut internet. The government cut internet
Oh,
completely from the whole country. And the other thing that happened was Microsoft was hacked. And that was big. That was
ah,
really big.
oh,
Uh,
yeah.
that was with Mercury. And then
Ah,
the notes that I have for Mars, uh, a lot, a lot of violence, killings, and the most relevant, I think, well, not that every life that is lost and is not relevant, of course, but what happened was the country of the Security Cabinet approved plans to take over the Gaza City. Uh, and uh, well, the other thing that came in the news was the Trump orders deployment of federal cops in DC, um, claiming falsely of surging crime. and so taking over Washington, D.C. And then DOJ hires January 6th rioter who encouraged killing police officers at the riot. He was hired by the DOJ. And what else? Well, and many killings around the world in China and something in Spain as well. Yeah, several killings in other parts of the world. That was Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and 2 days later, after that, when Mars trine Pluto, so the country of the military, assassinates 5 Al Jazeera journalists in
I
Gaza.
remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then 100,000 people rally in Tel Aviv to oppose the plan of you know who,
Mm-hmm.
to escalate the war to the Gaza city. So yeah, many very sad news on that Mars transit. So yeah, we can say that some catastrophes happen with kites. Not every time, but it could be negative at
Well, there
times,
was Mars
depending on the
opposition.
planet.
So the two malefics in opposition, it's coming from outside. It's extreme. So it's not surprising there were violent events. Oh, I can't hear you. You put yourself on mute.
Do you have anything else that you would like to share?
No, I mean it's just watch how they show up.
Mhm.
Notice when they happen in your own chart and see if you see any stories about how you can lift up and take flight, especially if there's been something that's been stuck or just going around in circles, that you get momentum to bring change when you see kites coming through.
Yeah, it will be very common these days, mainly because of those lower planets. So if you have, in fact, if you have planets in any of the other signs, at one moment or another, there will be a kite with your natal planet. So it is important to follow up and pay attention to observe and correlate, right? To learn more, and people can share below the video their comments or what they have experienced or what they expect to have in the future with the future kites. So thank you so much, Celeste. Celeste, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you
So
for having me. It was
uh,
a pleasure to talk to you about this topic.
yeah, it was a pleasure for me, and I learned a lot. I hope our audience also learns. And okay, we'll see each other next time.
Sounds good.
Okay.